Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're joining us from the C-suite, risk management, or an institutional investment desk, you are in exactly the right place. We're looking at a critical juncture in the financial landscape right now as we brief you on the state of the market in May 2026. Today, we're exploring a fascinating, almost paradoxical duality. On one side of the globe, digital assets are becoming deeply integrated, highly regulated collateral for traditional finance. But on the other side, that exact same technology is serving as an essential, life-saving tool for billions facing economic collapse and authoritarianism. We're going to examine how both of these realities are coexisting and, crucially, what it means for your balance sheets and strategic outlook. Okay, let's dive right into today's roadmap. We'll be looking at institutional optimism and market momentum, global regulation and financial integration, and the cost of unsound money. Then we'll pivot to Bitcoin as a monetary lifeboat, the global humanitarian lifeline, and finally wrap up with the dual future of money. Starting off with part 1, institutional optimism and market momentum. So let's take a look at the current state of digital assets here in May 2026. For the risk and asset managers out there, the data we're seeing right now signals a really profound shift. We've moved away from the extreme volatility of previous cycles and into a structurally supported market. We're watching Bitcoin make a very strong push toward the $80,000 mark. But what's really driving this isn't retail speculation. It's robust, steady institutional flows. As a testament to this maturation, we're seeing over 20,000 developers, investors, and policymakers gathering at Consensus 2026 in Miami as we speak. The big narratives, they've shifted heavily toward institutional-grade DeFi adoption and the intersection of AI and crypto. And this number perfectly captures the shift in sentiment we're feeling. 47. That is the current reading of the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, hitting a 3-month high. Just last month, it was sitting at a dismal 12. So the veil of extreme fear has officially lifted. And what's really notable here is that this early optimism is happening despite traditional retail concerns over geopolitical conflicts. Why? Well, it's because institutional support and clear regulatory deadlines have fundamentally altered the market's foundation. It's a whole new ballgame. Which brings us right into Section 2, Global Regulation and Financial Integration. Now, what's really interesting here is the definitive shift in regulatory posture. According to PwC's Global Crypto Regulation Report for 2026, we have moved entirely out of the policy design phase and straight into strict enforcement. Stablecoin regimes, they're now operational globally. Tokenized money, think wholesale central bank digital currencies and tokenized bank deposits, these are scaling rapidly from limited pilots to full-on deployment. The infrastructure is no longer just theoretical white papers, it is actively being laid down by major financial institutions as we speak. And for those of you in bank leadership, this is absolutely crucial. The Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, or BCBS, framework officially went into effect on January 1st, 2026. This means global standard-setting bodies have definitively brought digital assets into traditional financial market infrastructure. Assets are now clearly categorized. You've got Group 1, which includes tokenized traditional assets and regulated stablecoins. Then you have Group 2, covering unbacked crypto assets like Bitcoin, and these are subject to a strict 2% Tier 1 capital limit. Coupled with enhanced Financial Stability Board standards for stablecoin reserves, the playing field is finally clearly defined for major institutional entry. All of that leads us to Section 3. The cost of unsound money. To truly understand the massive scope of his asset class, we have to zoom out and look at the profound paradigm shift happening with fiat currency itself. Saifedean Amos's influential book, The Bitcoin Standard, provides a brilliant framework for this. It all comes down to time preference. Sound money is constrained in supply, which creates a low time preference. Basically, it holds its value, which naturally incentivizes saving, long-term investment, and innovation. Unsound fiat money, on the other hand, is characterized by a constantly expanding supply. This creates a high time preference. It disincentivizes saving and drives debt-fueled immediate consumption, all while remaining highly vulnerable to government coercion and inflation. Amos takes this theory even further, arguing that the modern fiat system is inherently flawed at its core. He posits that central bank intervention actually disrupts free market price signals, creating the very boom and bust business cycles they're attempting to manage. Furthermore, he argues that this system of unsound money allows governments to fund unaccountable expenditures, like extended military conflicts, simply by debasing the currency, rather than relying on direct taxation. It's a striking critique of modern monetary policy, and frankly, it forms the ideological backbone for why these decentralized alternatives exist in the first place. Moving on to Section 4, Bitcoin as a monetary lifeboat. Let's step away from macroeconomic theory for a second and look at these staggering real-world statistics of fiat currency failures globally. As researchers like Alex Gladstein have extensively documented, especially in his work Check Your Financial Privilege, the Western perspective on money is actually a severe anomaly. Get this, only 13% of the global population is born into stable fiat currencies like the dollar, the euro, or the British pound. A massive 87% of humanity is born into autocracy or untrustworthy, rapidly depreciating currencies. To put a finer point on that, just consider this staggering number, 1.2 billion. Right now, today, 1.2 billion people live under double or triple-digit inflation. Think about that for a second. For them, debates about 2% Tier 1 capital limits are completely irrelevant. Their wealth is literally evaporating daily. That harsh reality brings us right to Section 5, the Global Humanitarian Lifeline. For billions of people, digital assets don't function as alpha generators to beat the S&P 500. They are fundamental survival tools. This is a systemic, global phenomenon. In Nigeria, citizens are using digital assets to bypass 15% annual inflation and strict state financial censorship. Over in Palestine, networks are being used to build a resistance economy totally outside the reach of restricted traditional banking. And in places like Cuba and Afghanistan, people are utilizing these decentralized networks as literal refuges to escape ongoing state-led monetary repression and utter economic disaster. So you see, this isn't just some isolated use case. It is a widespread, decentralized monetary lifeboat. To vividly demonstrate how this works on the ground, consider the story of entrepreneur Ira Aderinokun in Nigeria. During the nationwide protests against the notorious SARS police unit, the Feminist Coalition was actively accepting donations. Well, when the regime cracked down and weaponized the traditional banking system by just shuttering their accounts, they were completely cut off. So what did they do? In response, they set up a BT Pay server and successfully raised over 7 Bitcoin to continue their activism. It is a powerful reminder of how immutable, decentralized money protects human rights when the traditional financial system is weaponized against its own citizens. As Alex Gladstein concludes after reviewing global use cases like this technology represents a fundamental tool for individuals and communities to protect their wealth and promote their well-being against repressive regimes. It bypasses intermediaries and functions exactly where the traditional system simply cannot or will not. Let's pull this all together in our final section, Section 6, the dual future of money. We are witnessing a singular technology servicing two radically different needs, coexisting at the exact same time. On one hand, Wall Street integration. We have clear PwC reporting and BCBS regulations paving the way for trillions in tokenized bank assets, institutional collateral, and highly regulated yield-generating DeFi infrastructure. But on the other hand, global humanitarian necessity. Billions of people are using the exact same underlying ledgers to escape authoritarian regimes, bypass hyperinflation, and secure basic human rights. Which leaves us with a critical strategic consideration to conclude our briefing today. As leaders steering the future of traditional finance, are your institutions prepared for an asset class that serves simultaneously as strictly regulated Wall Street collateral and an unstoppable global humanitarian lifeboat? Understanding both sides of this mandate is absolutely going to be the key to navigating the next decade of finance. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.